Addiction stands as the only prison where the locks are on the inside, quietly rotting families and corroding society. Companies that provide vehicles for addiction generate billions of dollars off a dependent consumer base. But what if that same consumer base used their addiction to scam some saps off Facebook Marketplace into buying shittily made sculptures from actual trash? This is part 2 in a series of videos of me trying to find a use for a large surplus of empty ZYN cans that I've accumulated. In the last part I made this guy. I like him a lot, he's pretty cute. And I tried to sell him on Facebook Marketplace thinking that at least one person would find it sick enough to drop $25 on it. I was sorely mistaken. In the first 3 days I got about 500 views and 6 likes, and a couple of replies even. But within a week, almost all of that traction had died out. A month later, I still have it in my possession. I found 3 reasons for this. The price, $25 for this, is fucking absurd. The utility. What possible use for this is there outside of a joke that would be funny maybe like one time before it got extremely old? The scale. This plays in the price a little bit, but if I can make a larger piece of art, then it tends to reason that I could logically charge more for it. So in this episode, we're going to be doing some more experimenting. Each new ZYN will try to solve one of these problems in a different way, ranging from low effort to high effort. This video ended up expanding way outside the scope of what I wanted it to, so I have more ideas that I'm going to try out in the future.
So help you God. So help you God.
So the first problem we have to tackle is the price. $10 is much more reasonable for something like this than $25. In terms of design, these ones are going to be very similar to the original ZYN Man. The main difference is that to add some utility, I'm going to turn these into a type of keychain or Christmas ornament or like backpack hook kind of thing. To do this, I took some wire, bent it into a loop. Then using the same gauge of wire and a blowtorch, I'm going to melt through the ZYN containers what I want to insert the hooks. After inserting the hooks, I'm going to embed the wire in clay so it's at least a little bit sturdy and start to build up the beginnings of a face. I realized here that ZYN cans are not the best for something like this because they're really cheap and flexible compared to the sturdy and rigid ZYN cans. This process is very similar to what I did in the last video, so if you want like a more, thorough version of that, go watch that video. In order to cut down the price on these things, I gotta increase the quantity that I make at once. The first one only took me about an hour to make, but within that hour I had to set up all my shit, turn on the oven, and do a couple other things. If I were to be able to make a bunch of them in one go, maybe within an hour, I could charge less, imagining that my time is worth something. In terms of materials, these things are extremely cheap, maybe about $3 for clay, maybe less than that, and then it's made of literal trash, so the only limiting factor is my own time. So if I can cut down on that, I can cut down on the price. After I finish sculpting them, I'm going to pop them in the oven for a little bit. Afterwards, I'm going to start painting them, and I'm going to paint them with colors that correspond to their cans. So I start with a dark blue for this guy and a dark red for this guy. And then, like I do with most of my sculptures, I build up to lighter values using dry brushing and sponging. Then I paint the hooks the same way, and then take them out to my shed so I can spray some lacquer on them. Because these are intended to be some kind of backpack hooks or keychains, they're gonna hopefully get beaten around pretty severely. So lacquer is important to make sure that the paint doesn't chip off. Now we're gonna move on to the next design. So this is gonna be a bit of an increase to the scale, as well as add some utility. For this, I started with a rock to give it some weight, wrap that in wire, and then wrap the wire in foil. Put more foil on there, then I add more foil, and eventually some wires for arms, and then beef them up with some more wire. After this kind of basic skeleton is done, I'm going to put sheets of clay onto the foil to start building things up. The idea here is some kind of alien servant, so it's going to be like a normal looking alien, like some typical alien you see from some movie in a robe, and he's gonna be holding the ZYN can lid like a butler. So to do this, I'm gonna just add little blobs all over the body and smooth them in to create a kind of bone structure underneath this robe. Periodically, I'm gonna place it in the ZYN can to see if it still fits, and I haven't made it too big. And then I'm gonna mess with this for a long time. Eventually, I found something I kind of liked, so I'm going to bake it to lock in the shape. After that, I'm going to add a head and neck. So I'm going to add a bunch of clay to the head to make it real bulbous. and then I'm going to dig out some holes for pre-baked eyes. After sticking them in, I'm going to wrap them with a long worm of clay and create some eyelids. Next, I go around, just add different blobs and mounds and worms to build up the cheekbones, the chin, the brow line, ear holes, and nostrils. As you can also see, I'm wearing gloves during this because I don't want to put my fingerprints all over it. Usually I don't care about that kind of thing, but for something like this, I do care. Then I bake it again and move on to the arms and hands. I keep the arms very skinny and then bake them right away so that I have something solid to put the hands onto. But before that, I'm going to put a collar on, because this will be super annoying to put on once the hands are in place. Then I'm going to go around to the body and add more blobs to look like draping fabric and some wrinkles. And once that's done, I'm going to put balls onto the hands and then cut them down the middle and add some thumbs. Then I'm going to, kind of meticulously shape these out with my fingers and then blend the hands into the arm. Repeatedly, I'm going to put the lid into their hands to see if they fit and everything's level. I bake that. The final thing that I'm going to do is add some sleeves using large triangles of clay. Bake this for a final time and then move on to painting. For the painting, I went on the head with a dark gray and then added 2 lighter shades until I felt that it looked good enough. For the body, I'm going to start with a very dark green, almost black, and then add a couple lighter shades of green until I think it looks good enough. After this, I'm going to paint the eyes black and then put some UV resin on them so that they're nice and shiny and shit. Once this is done, I'm going to glue the ZYN into the can and then glue the lid to the can into the arms. And from here, he's done. So it's done. I'm going to take these 3, take some pictures of them and put them on Facebook Marketplace. Put each of the keychains on for about $10. And I put this guy on for $35. It's only been about 2 days since then, and there hasn't been all that much traction. I got a couple people actually that reached out about the servant guy, but nothing on the other 2. So in the next video in this series, I will update on if these sold, if they were successes or if they were failures. Either way, I'm glad I made them. I had fun doing it, and I hope you enjoyed watching me do it.